Hi everybody, good afternoon. Good afternoon. So yesterday I had indicated on Twikatania Women's Ministry that I was going to go live and share some revelations with everybody, but I wasn't able to do so because of some technical challenges that I faced. I tried to go online today, but I was unable to go live. I don't know why I can't go live on my Facebook page, even on the Tukatani Women's Ministry page. I'm unable to go online, but nevertheless, I just want to share some things, and I'm going to read from the book of Genesis. The Bible here reads. To the woman he said, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. So, what I want to talk about is this part that says your desire will be for your husband and he will rule over you. So, I decided to talk about the challenges that we as women get to face in this world in terms of finding a right partner, in terms of being happy in our marriages. And in this world that we're in, many times people get to overlook women because we are blamed for having to love our partners very much and how we respond to heartbreak and the like. So, if you look at this chapter from Genesis 3:16, the Bible here clearly says that the desire of you, a woman, will be your husband and that he will rule over you. So if you look at this chapter, you realize that this was a curse that was mentioned in the book of Genesis when God was cursing. This was amongst the curse that were spoken. We get to see the serpent being cursed. We get to see Adam being cursed, and we get to see women being cursed. And the curse that we partook as women was that um, we were going to go through the pain of child labor, and that we were going to desire our husbands, and that they were going to rule over us. So, because this curse was spoken, you get to see that in our society, as women, as a girl child, as a youth, a female adolescent, you see that society will just want you to focus on finding that right person. They want to build you up to be the perfect female for that particular man. They want to groom you up so that you are just this perfect picture for this particular person. Um, but then you see that literally that was a curse that was said in the book of Genesis. So we all understand that when Christ came, he came to fulfill the law and not break it. He overcame the law. He had to go through transgression. He had to go through so many challenges that you and I would be able to enjoy him. And because of his love, he overcame for us. He overcame the law for us. He fulfilled the law for us. So I just want everybody to understand that there's this curse that surrounds us as women. We usually have all these talks, and even when you go through certain discussions on social media, you get to see that mostly men will talk about how women would be so depressed, how women would be so desperate to work out their marriage, how women would be so desperate in finding the right person, and how women would go an extra mile in wrecking somebody's marriage because they feel they can't find somebody else, so they just want to stick to this particular person. They don't care whether they'll break homes. They don't care about the consequences. All they want to do is settle down. They can go for anybody. We get to see how certain women would even sponsor their own dowry. We get to see women doing anything, women getting into charms, women going into so many things that are not right just for them to get to find that particular partner because society is talking about them. People are asking them when they are going to settle down. So you realize that um, these talks, you realize that a female, a girl child, woman would be pressured into wanting to settle down with a man, and people would want to define you as a as a woman because of having had found somebody or being married. And you'd find that mostly women that have been divorced, single mothers, overlooked, women tend to underestimate them or underrate them simply because they have children, or many women who have reached a certain age are looked down upon because they're not married yet. And people seem to talk, and because of this curse that is in Genesis, you'd find yourself getting all stressed up, getting worried, wanting to settle down, trying to settle down with anybody. You'd even find that men that are not men that you're supposed to settle down with. You even have to break down yourself. Most women even have to adjust themselves just to get to settle down with this particular man, that they would even know that this is not the person that I would want to settle down with. They would even know that this is going to be an abusive spouse. So you see all these things happening, and these are things that I know that most of you are going to agree with me. So I want you to realize that when Christ came, he fulfilled the law. So I want you to realize that the moment you begin to stress yourself and think, oh, I need to settle down, I need a man in my life. If I don't have a man, people begin to talk about me. The moment you start thinking like that, you need to know that that is the curse that was said upon a woman that is now operating in your life. You need to know that the moment you're seated at home, and every time and all the time, all you do is just think about your husband, think about how he's stressing you. You can't do anything else, you can't function, all you have is that, just this desire of your husband. Then you need to realize that now you're operating under the curse. So I want you to realize that Christ fulfilled the law and he overcame. And the fact that he fulfilled the law and he overcame, I need you to realize that you need to live a life of an overcomer. You are more than a conqueror in that situation. In your marriage, you're more than a conqueror. In your singleness, you're more than a conqueror. In your courtship, you're more than a conqueror. So I want you to be able to realize that the only man that you're supposed to focus on is Jesus Christ. The moment you focus on Christ, everything else in your life begins to just work out on its own. Because the moment you focus on Christ, he will give you guidance, he will tell you what to do. So, what I wanted to talk about is anxiety attacks. I know most of you will agree that when we go through breakups in relationships, we get to go through anxiety attacks, we get to go through mental torture. And I would also want to talk to many divorced women, many single women out there who were once with somebody and they left them with children, or you have children with this particular man, they decided to divorce you, and now you are alone. You have to take care of the children alone, and you have to go through and think through why this person did what and what to you. I want you to realize that if you're going through all those challenges of getting stressed up, and if you have anxiety attacks are these worries and fears just grip us from nowhere, because it's either we are depressed or we are going through a certain doom or situation that we feel we cannot overcome. But then I have also brought on the table just two verses. There are so many verses that talk about how God is with us in times of breakup. So I decided to pick First Peter 5 verses 7, which says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares. And then there's also John 16 verses 33, which says, I have told you these things so that you may have peace. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. So these are some of the verses that you can meditate upon if you're going through anxiety attacks. I want you to realize that even Christ knew that we are going to be anxious. We have so many verses that tell us not to be anxious and not to worry, but focus on the peace that has been given unto us. You have the Holy Spirit that lives in you. And I want you to realize that the Holy Spirit is greater than all the wickedness outside. He's greater, He's the greatest. So I want you to realize that you are more than a conqueror and you're able to overcome depression. You're able to overcome anxiety attacks. And that when you're going through a breakup, you are actually able to overcome every anxiety attack that you will go through because of the breakup that you've just gone through. And I know this is very common amongst us women because there's this curse that is operating, that each one of us needs to understand that we are not supposed to live under this curse because it was fulfilled in Christ overcame. So we need to live a life of an overcomer. So what I want you to understand is that every time you find yourself stressing about settling down, stressing about getting married, stressing about a man who is stressing you in your marriage, and instead of focusing on yourself, building yourself, and focusing on your God, you begin to stress about this person. All you do is think about this particular man that has broken your heart, this man that is not giving you the attention that you need. I want you to realize that once you begin to find yourself in such a situation, then you are actually living under the curse which you're not supposed to live under, because Christ overcame that. We have Christ assuring us and telling us that He has given us peace. And He's telling us that we are going to have trouble in this world. But then we need to take heart and realize that He overcame. So the fact that He overcame, Christ overcame the curse. He overcame the desires of you and me getting to just desire a man every time we are seated as women. We are just talking about settling down. Every time we want to pray for something, we just want to pray for marital breakthrough. Every time you go to a church, the first thing you have on your list is a marital breakthrough. The first thing you write on your prayer list is how you want God to intervene in your marriage. And you'll be praying for someone who is not even into working out something with you, somebody who just doesn't care and is just living their own life. And as a woman, you've made it a point that you live to pray for a marital breakthrough. You live to pray for your marriage most of the time. Every time you're praying for this particular man, and you forget about your own being, you forget about building yourself, and you forget about focusing on God. It is godly to pray for your marriage. It is godly to pray for a spouse. It is godly to pray for a marital breakthrough. But I want you to realize that sometimes, and many times, and most of the times, we overdo it. We go an extra mile, and then we just begin to live under this curse of us being desirous of men, us being desirous of our husbands. We can't function. We can't do anything else. The first man in your life is Christ. So the only man that you're supposed to desire so badly is Jesus Christ. And the moment you begin to desire Him, the moment you begin to search Him more, the moment you begin to dwell with Him, the moment you begin to conversate with Him more oftenly, you will realize that certain things will just begin to work out in your life. You will realize that He'll begin to give you direction. He'll begin to lead you on what you're supposed to do. If at all there's something that you need to pray in your marriage, He'll begin to give you guidance. So this is just what I wanted to share with everybody. I know I'm very quick. I have quickened this discussion. I've quickened it because I decided to just squeeze in some few minutes, because I promised that I was going to review something. So I'm going to do a lot of follow-up videos on this discussion that I've started today. I hope you'll be able to pick something out of what I'm just from talking about. I hope there's somebody there who will be touched, who will be ministered to, somebody who's been going through anxiety attacks, somebody who's going through a depression, and they're failing to handle all these things that they're going through. I want to assure you that Christ knew that we're all going to go through anxiety attacks and that we're all going to go through breakups. He has said that there are so many troubles in this world that we'll have to get to face. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'll definitely come back and talk about other things. So ciao.